Masechet Sukkah, Tractate Sukkah, Perik Rishon Mishnah Aleph, first chapter, first Mishnah. סוכה שהיא גבוהה למעלה מ-20 אמה. או ביאור משנה א', משנתנו באה ללמד, our Mishnah comes to teach us, מהם שיעורי הסוכה? What's the measurement of a sukkah? Okay. סוכה שהיא גבוהה למעלה מ-20 אמה. We have a sukkah higher than 20 אמה. כלומר, which means, שגובה חלל הסוכה, it means that the interior space, מן הקרקע ועד הסכך, from the floor to the ceiling, הוא יותר מ-20 אמה. is more than 20 amma, approximately 10 meters. Yeah, 10 meters is 30 feet. Somewhere around there, right? Psula. So Tanakama says it's not good. It's not kosher. What's the problem? It's a sukkah. What do I care how high it is? Hatam hu ledat Rabba Bagmara. So Rabba has a reason. I'll tell you why it's not kosher, he says. Because you're not following the orders. What's the orders? Shekatuv vayikra says, look what it says. Rabba tells you. It says, Basokot teshvu shiv'at yamim. It says you should sit in a sukkah for 7 days. Amra Torah. So the Torah told you, you have to sit in a hut for 7 days. That's what he told you. Sit in a hut. So it says, Kol shivat yamim. It says, all 7 days you have a commandment. Seme dirat keva. Go out from an established dwelling place, Veshev bedirat harai, and sit in a temporary dwelling place. Lefichach, and therefore, ad 20 ama adam oseh dirato dirat harai. It says people don't build castles 10 meter, 30 feet tall, with a ceiling as dirat harai, as a temporary place. It says it's not done. Not even a king would do it for 7 days. To build something 20 amas tall, it means that you have to have good yesodot. You meant actually something not temporary. You meant something permanent. So don't tell me temporary. If it's more than 20 amma, I don't believe you. It's too tall. It's too big. Nobody's going to build such a structure as a temporary dwelling. It's not done. למעלה מ-20 אמה, it says higher than 20 אמה, אין אדם עושה דירתו דירת ארעי. Nobody's going to go to such construction to make such a thing for 7 days. It doesn't make sense. אלא דירת קבע. You're doing it as a permanent place. כלומר, which means, שצריך שיהיה שיעור גובהו באופן שאפשר לאותו ארעי. It says, I need to see the temporary in the sukkah. If it's more than 20 amas, you show to me that it's not temporary. ואז אפילו עשה קבע, so it says, hey, what's going on over here? But still, we have a problem. But I can build the walls. So according to you ask Rava. But Rava, if I show you that it's not temporary in another way, not in height, for example, I'm going to build it out of metal. I'm going to build it out of bricks, out of stones like this. That he doesn't mind. All he minds is the height. So he's still we'll have to think about it, okay? ואז, he says, as אפילו עשה קבע, then even if you built a strong structure, כגון שעשה מחיצות של ברזל, that if he did good walls, even of steel, הסוכה כשרה. The sukkah is going to be kosher. אבל כשהיא גבוהה למעלה מ-20 אמה, but Rava says when it is above 20 אמה, הרי מחמת גובה הדפנות. It is because of the height of the walls. אינו יכול לבנותה אלא קבע. It is impossible to build it anything but temporary, because if you build tall walls, especially at those times, you need to build good yesodot. The taller the wall, in the yesod, in the bottom, you have to build it very, very wide. So nobody's going to do it. The foundation.
Still, it's hard to, because that you can't build it. Today you can build it, so today is kosher.
No, that's it. Because he only cares about the height. It says the height itself.
The height.
Yeah. ונבצע שנפקע ממנה היכר סוכה. So he says it doesn't look like a sukkah. So just because it doesn't look, that's what it is. In other words, I don't care what the sides are. You can use the sides whatever you want. Yeah, but just because of the height, people look at the height and say, this is a structure. like today, you don't know, some of the buildings are kalkar. There's nothing inside them. Yeah? But just by the height, it looks impressive. So it doesn't look temporary. That's bad enough. So even according to Rabbi Yehuda disagrees with the Tana Kama about the 20 amma, and Rabbi Yehuda Machshir. Rabbi Yehuda says it is kosher. You can have it as tall as you want. Et הסוכה שהיא גבוהה למעלה מ-20 אמה, that it is taller than 20 אמה. שלדעתו, because according to him we're going to see the entire argument is going to be throughout, when we're learning about the laws of Sukkah, צריכה, שלדעתו צריכה סוכה להיות דירת קבע. According to him, it can be דירת קבע, it can be a permanent place, and it's not a problem if it is a permanent place. It's your house. You can build it as tall as you want. ואין הלכה כרבי יהודה. Just for us to know, we know that the halacha is not like Rabbi Yehuda, and therefore a sukkah more than 10 meters tall is not kosher. So we have the maximum height. Maximum height is 10 meters, 30 feet. What's the minimum height now? ושאינה גבוהה 10 טפחים, סוכה שגובה חללה הוא פחות מ10 טפחים, a sukkah that its height is less than 10 טפחים, 10 טפחים is approximately 1 meter. Yeah, approximately 1 meter. שאין אדם דר בדירה זו. It says simple, because if it's less than 1 meter tall, nobody lives in such a thing. Maybe you can tell me that 1.5 meters, it's right. Even if you're tall, you can go like this and sit down, that's okay. But 1 meter, nobody lives in a 1 meter sukkah. Nobody builds such a thing. Okay. So that makes it not kosher. Another thing that makes it not kosher, ושאין לה 3 דפנות. And when it doesn't have 3 sides, כמו שנבאר להלן, like we're going to cover this later on. Another rule, ושחמתה מרובה מצילתה. And that it has more sun inside than shadow. שהחמה חודרת דרך הסכך. If the sun comes in through the סכך, through the roof, על קרקע הסוכה, on the floor of the sukkah, מרובה מהצל הנופל, and it's more from the shadow that the roof gives, מהסכך. ונמצא הסכך קלוש, we find that the roof is weak, ואינו שוחך כראוי, it's not a proper roof. And you're supposed to have a proper סכך, proper roof, like we're going to say later on. והרי עיקר הסוכה הוא הסכך. And we learned one more thing. The main part of the sukkah is nothing to do with the sides. The main part of the sukkah is the schach. That's the mitzvah, the schach itself, the roof. שעל שמו נקראת סוכה, because this is what it's called, סוכה. סוכה from לשון schach, מכסה, covers. So if you don't have enough shadow by the roof, then it's psula. Then it's not good. Sukkah is not kosher. בעניין 3 דפנות, when it comes to the 3 sides, דעת חכמים היא, the sages says, שאם היו לסוכה 2 נפות שלמות, זו בצד זו, that if the sukkah has 2 sides, this one next to another, עושה דופן שיש ברוחבו טפח או משהו, he can make another side that has more than a meter, a little bit more than a meter, ומעמידו בפחות מ3 טפחים סמוך לאחד משתי הדפנות, and he has to stand it next to one of the other sides, not in the middle, not far away, but next to it, ודיו, it is enough. שכל פחות מ3 טפחים כלבוד הוא, because anything less than 3 טפחים is called connected. והרי זו נחשבת כדופן של 4 טפחים. It's considered like a דופן. It's considered to be like a side. ונמצאת הסוכה בעלות 3 דפנות, and the sukkah is only has 3 sides, אלא שצריך לעשות לה צורת... But you need still to make it a lintel between the rest. You cannot just leave it completely empty. Like completely empty, you have to have the top, that it looks like there's a doorway. מפני שאין לה 3 דפנות גמורות, because it doesn't have 3 complete sides. וכבר למדנו במסכת עירובין, we already learned in עירובין, שצורת פתח היינו אפילו קנה מכאן וקנה מכאן וקנה על גביהם. It means that you have one doorpost, down post and a thing on top. אף על פי שאינו מגיע להם, even though it's not on top, it's hanging. But it's still underneath it until this height, and the doorpost is on the top, this one stands underneath, and this one stands underneath, you're good. ואם היה לסוכה שתי דפנות זו כנגד זו, what happens if the sukkah has two walls, one here and one opposite it? וביניהם מפולש, אותו דפן שיש ברוחבה 4 טפחים או משהו. Now you don't have two sides next to each other. So three is not going to be enough. 1 meter is not going to be enough. You need at least 4 טפחים. Not 3 טפחים in a little bit. You need another wall. And another wall is 4 טפחים. 3 טפחים in a little bit is not enough, like we said before. ומעבידה בפחות משלושה סמוך ל5 דפנות, and then you have to stick it next to one of the walls, whichever one you want, ונחשב כאילו יש בצד השלישי דופן של 7 טפחים. And then you find like it is as if it has 7 טפחים. Why? Because 3 טפחים is lavud, like you said, 4 plus 3 is 7. שהוא שיעור הקשה לסוכה לאורכה ולרוחבה. That we're going to see later on that 7 טפחים is the minimum for a side. Yeah, and 4 plus the lavud plus the one that connected is 7. שהסוכה צריכה להיות לכל הפחות 7 על 7 טפחים. As we're going to see that the minimum measurement is 7 on 7. כדי שתהיה, why 7 on 7? Where's the measure? It's 7 on 7 is almost nothing. It's like 1.5 meters, 1.5 meters. It says, what's the idea? כדי שתהיה מחזקת ראשו ורובו של אדם, a person needs to enter it, ושולחנו, with a table and a chair. So if you can sit over there on a small table and a chair, that's the minimum amount. 6 על 6 לראשו, ורובו, 6 on 6 for his head and most of him, וטפח הטפח לשולחנו. And a small little table for a cup, whatever you want to put it over there, minimum. ואף בזה סובר הרמב"ם, and the Rambam also holds in this, שצריך לעשות לצורת הפתח. That even over here, you need to make, because you have only 2.5, you need to make the opening, that's right. ויש חולקים על כך, there are those who disagree with the Rambam. Okay, up to here. בעניין חמתה מרובתה מצלתה, when we're talking about that the shadow has to be more than the sun, מבואר בגמרא, the Gemara says, שדווקא אם חמתה מרובה מצלתה, הסוכה פסולה. That if there's more sun than shadow, then it's not good. אבל אם החמה והצל על הקרקע שווים, but if it's exactly 50-50, הסוכה כשרה. Then the sukkah is kosher. שפכגון זה, הסכך למעלה מרובה בוודאי על החורים. Why? Because the sunlight expands a little bit when it comes in. A little bit. So therefore you know for sure that you have enough over there. שדרכם חומרת החמה, לפי שגרני השמש החודרות אפילו דרך חורים קטנים, because the sun rays comes through small holes, מהירות למטה שטח שהוא גדול יותר מן החורים. It expands a little bit. Yeah, it expands. So as long as you have 50-50, you're good. Next, סוכה ישנה. What about an old sukkah? Let's put it in today's term. How early can you start building the sukkah? How early in the year? Why do we care with this one? סוכה ישנה, כמבואר להלן, we're going to explain later on. בית שמאי פוסלין, בית שמאי says it's not good, not kosher, ובית הלל מכשירים, בית הלל says don't worry about it, you can have an old sukkah. ואיזוהי סוכה ישנה? What's an old sukkah? כל שעשה קודם לחג 30 יום. If you built it 30 days before the holiday. Yeah, if you build it 30 days before the holiday, it's called an old sukkah. What are we talking about? Let's understand. היינו, because if you build it 30 days before the holiday, Beit Shammai say, I'm assuming already you're not building it for a mitzvah. You're building it for whatever. Yeah, to sit, whatever use you have in your head, some kind of use. And I know that it's not Sukkot. How do I know it's not Sukkot? Because you're building it too early. In other words, Shas Astam, it says you're not doing it for the purpose of the holiday. וסוברים בית שמאי שהיא פסולה. So בית שמאי, since you didn't build it for the purpose of the holiday, you didn't have in mind you're building a sukkah, you had in mind you're building a house, a hut, I don't care what you had in mind, but not a mitzvah. לפי שלא נעשתה לשם החג. It wasn't done for the purpose of the holidays. וטעמה מבואר בגמרא. It says, who says? Who says that it needs to be for the purpose of holidays? Why does it say that it needs to be for the purpose of the holidays? So it says, we learn it. It says in Katuv Bedvarim, Chag HaSukkot Ta'aseh Lecha Shiv'at Yamim. It says the holiday of Sukkot you should do to you 7 days. In other words, you should make a sukkah. Sukkah asuya l'shem hachag. You need to make the sukkah for the holiday. It says for the holiday the sukkah has to be. Yeah. The fact that you have another sukkah and it's not for the holiday, you can't use it now for the holiday. You have to build it for the holiday. Ubeit Hillel sovrim she'hi kshera. The Beit Hillel says, what are you talking about? Any structure is good. שלפי שדעתם, because according to בית הלל, אין צורך שתעשה הסוכה לשם החג. It says it's not necessary for you to build the sukkah for the sake of the holidays. You could have built it as a place for your horses. I don't care why you build it. And then you decide, okay, now the horses are out, I'll sit in it 7 days, and then I'll put the horses back in. What's the problem? What's the problem? והם דורשים את הפסוק הנזכר לעניין אחר. What are we going to do with the verse, חג הסוכות תעשה לך 7 ימים? What do they learn from it? So we learn something else from it. אבל אם עשה לשם חג הסוכות, בית הלל says, not בית הלל, I think everybody says, even בית שמאי says, אם עשה לשם חג הסוכות, but if, let's say now, we build the sukkah, and you have in mind, I'm building the sukkah for Sukkot, even Bet Shammai says, no, you build the sukkah for Sukkot, that you're fine. The problem is when you build the sukkah for the horses. Yeah? And then, but even Bet Shammai admits that if you build it for Sukkot, then it's for Sukkot. אפילו מתחילת השנה, even from the beginning of the year. כלומר, אפילו עשה שנה קודם לחג, it means that even if you did it a year before the holiday, כגון תכף לאחר חג הסוכות, he made it immediately after the holiday of Sukkot, של השנה שעברה, of the past year, אף בית שמאי מודים שהיא כשרה. Even בית שמאי admits that it's kosher, because you had in mind that it's for the holidays. וכן, אם עשה סתם בתוך 30 יום קודם לחג, and also everybody admits that if you're building a sukkah 30 days before the holiday, obviously you have in mind that you're going to use it also for the sukkah. כיוון ששואלים בהלכות החג, ש30 יום קודם לחג. He says, why obviously? It says because he came to shul, he heard about people are discussing already Sukkot. So obviously, it's, even if he built it for the horses, and he's thinking he might use it, he's also thinking for Sukkot. סתם העושה סוכה, בוודאי לשם החג הוא עושה אותה. So if he builds a sukkah, for sure he has in mind that I'm also doing it for Sukkot. ואף בית שמאי מכשירים אותה. And also the house of Shammai says that it is kosher.